ahead of his testimony.
I wish him luck. Thank you, everybody.
I expect that he's not going to say the president obstructed justice. If he did, why would you continue to work?
An attack in Paris outside one of the most famous churches in all of Europe.
Police say a man with a hammer went after police near the Notre Dame Cathedral.
Another day, another attack here in Europe.
And hundreds of American troops now working to help Kurdish and Arab forces drive ISIS from Raqqa.
If the Republicans want to get the president's agenda passed, they have to come together.
We talked with President Trump and Vice President Pence about moving forward on our agenda. It's what we campaigned on, and we've got to deliver.
NSA worker charged with leaking top government secrets this morning. Winter's parents now speaking out.
She served for 6 years with distinction.
I want her to be treated fair. I want her to be safe.
If she did this, as the allegations say, and she's convicted, she should go to jail.
Pint-sized patriot and his secret salute.
One station under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here, we're upstairs. We start the show on the mezzanine level, and even though it is day 3, this still has that new studio smell.
Right. And of course, Ainsley, this song is familiar to you because this is what you were chanting in the clubs last night.
I love this. I look like it, right?
Exactly.
I know. This is my club dress.
Yeah. Right. Get past the velvet rope. So.
Well, no, I do love this song. Who sings this?
I think it's Neil Diamond.
That's Kiss.
No,
Doubtful.
Brian's
it's Engelbert Humperdinck, Brian.
But
that
Kiss,
was a performer.
Kiss now loves us. For a while, they didn't.
And wait, I don't know that story. What?
It's a long story. It's not that they didn't love us; they just didn't understand the sense of humor.
Right. Yeah,
got it.
It's an acquired taste. Hey, thank you very much for joining us on this very busy Wednesday. And we're going to start with a Fox News alert. 2 big stories breaking internationally. The United States launching new airstrikes overnight against pro-Assad forces in the country of Syria.
Yep. And in the UK, we're learning disturbing new details about the 3 killers behind the London bridge attack on Saturday night.
Benjamin Hall is live in London covering it all for us this morning. Hey, Benjamin.
Yeah, good morning, Brian, Stephen, Ainsley. Well, this strike, first of all, in southern Syria is seriously going to raise tensions between Syrian, Iranian and U.S. forces. What we know so far is that pro-Assad, pro-Syrian forces entered a deconfliction zone in the south of Syria near a U.S. garrison base where U.S. Special Forces and British Special Forces are based in the battle against ISIS. When they entered this area, they were attacked by ISIS forces, at which point they sent in reinforcements, including 60 soldiers, a tank, anti-aircraft weapons, etc. U.S. forces reached out via a Russian deconfliction channel and urged them to get back. They did not listen, and so a U.S. strike took out the weapons. We do not yet know how many casualties, but certainly we're going to see serious issues come out of that. U.S. Special Forces in the area, of course, as part of the anti-ISIS coalition, and we know that the success they've been having on the battlefield is very much connected to the attacks that ISIS are launching elsewhere, much like the one we saw in London this past week. And London really now just trying to get back to normal, and today certain parts around Borough Market reopened. That was where the knife attack itself happened. But this attack being hotly debated in the UK at the moment as more information is coming out about the terrorists themselves and how they were able to slip through the net. One of them, Karum Butt, was willingly filmed praying with an ISIS flag for a documentary called The Jihadi Next Door. Rashid El-Khada, of whom little is known, was either of Moroccan or Libyan descent, but he came in via Ireland, while Yusuf Zagba from Italy had been caught trying to go to Syria last year and had actually told authorities, I'm going to be a terrorist. Now, the attack has led to a number of arrests so far, including one 30-year-old man just this morning, but all except 2 of them have now been released as authorities continue to try and find out just who else was involved. How did they meet? Was it at a mosque? Was it online? That's a big question people are going to be asking. And very sadly, in the last few minutes, we're just hearing that another body has been pulled out of the River Thames. It's an Italian man who had been missing. So I've got to tell you guys that death toll has now risen to 8. But big news breaking around the world, both from Syria and London, and of course that connection between the two. Back to you guys.
Hey, Benjamin, have you noticed any decrease in foot traffic in the area? Do you expect a decrease even this weekend?
In London? No, absolutely not. And there are two sides to this. One is the political debate. Have the politicians done enough? Should their counter-terrorism forces be higher? And people really asking questions of the politicians, but the people on the ground, resilient as ever. They're saying this won't affect us. We're getting back to business as normal. So, yes, big questions being asked, but not affecting Londoners here on the ground.
I wonder if tourism's gone down. We'll have to check. All right, thank you, Benjamin.
All right. Meanwhile, let's talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow is James Comey Thursday.
10 a.m.
Yeah, that's right. And we understand that the president will wind up with some good news and some questionable news. For instance, apparently associates have told reporters that James Comey will not say that the president tried to obstruct justice. That's good for the president. However, he is going to dispute the fact that the president, in the letter that the president wrote to Mr. Comey firing him, said that you told me I'm not under investigation 3 times. Comey's going to dispute that, but say it was not obstruction of justice.
Right, which is interesting because the president went out of his way to be very specific on this, on his firing memo. I thought it was Susan Collins who was very interesting, and she's going to have a chance to ask questions. He says, listen, there's a huge difference between, hey, Mike Flynn just got fired. He's a good guy. You know, no reason to go forward. That's different from, I'm your boss. You better do this or else. There's a major difference, and especially to someone without a legal background who's been president for 5 minutes, and that's the story in this case.
The president could have stopped what's going to happen tomorrow, the testifying tomorrow. He didn't do that, and then he went on to have this message for Comey. Listen.
What message do you have to Jim Comey ahead of his testimony?
I wish him luck. Thank you, everybody.
Right.
That's
so
interesting.
I wonder how much luck he wishes him, actually. My hope is for the president. I think he's got a huge day scheduled in his own right. I think his people make sure to do that because you know how intense the president is. And if he feels as though James Comey's coming at him, every instinct in his body will be to go right back at James Comey through Twitter.
They're talking about live tweeting. They're saying the president made a live tweet. Oh, he said this.
Huge mistake to live tweet, especially because you're in a legal, you're in legal issues now. Mr. President, it's focus on your agenda. There's nothing you can do about James Comey and move forward. It's the Robert Mueller is going to have is going to need all the focus.
You sound like a lot of the people in Congress, but there are a lot of people in Middle America that do like it.
Well, a lot of people in America aren't legal experts and don't have his legal back. And
but a lot of them are.
But his legal team does not want him to live tweet because those words will be used agast him.
But Donald Trump, Donald Trump got elected using Twitter, and now he's got over 100 million.
It's different from running for office and being president when you're in this type of legal.
All right, send us your comments. Let us know what you think.
Yeah. Anyway, so Lindsey Graham, we're talking a little bit about James Comey today. Lindsey Graham has been watching apparently all the other channels, and he thinks what happens tomorrow might not be so big. Listen.
High school game. I expect that he's not going to say the president obstructed justice. I think you're going to have 2 new lines of inquiry. Did you, in fact, believe that there were emails between the Democratic National Committee and the Department of Justice that the Russians had that would have tainted the Department of Justice's ability to oversee the Clinton email investigation? He should answer this question. Is the president a target or subject to a criminal investigation? I don't believe the president of the United States is a target or subject to an investigation regarding collusion between him and the Russians, and I think the FBI director owes an answer to that question to the country.
Yeah, and by the way, if the president did buttonhole, put you in a corner and say, I need to speak to you and I need you to do this and that, why did you continue with the investigation, number one? Number two is, if you have notes, detailed notes of all these meetings, I like to see the Loretta Lynch meetings. I like to see the Barack Obama meetings.
Clinton
because you take such great notes and your penmanship's evidently fantastic. And you have such a great memory and you go out of your way to write these things down. Let's see it all. Let's see what prompted you to make those comments and have that press conference that dumbfounded so many on both sides of the aisle back in July.
Those are great questions, Brian. Maybe if James Comey is watching right now, he could live tweet us the answers to them.
Absolutely. Right. Are we following him?
Yeah,
I think we should.
Sure we are.
Right,
send us your comments. Let us know what you want to hear from James Comey tomorrow, if you want to hear from him at all.
Right.
Meanwhile, the president's heading to Ohio today. He's going to be meeting with Obamacare victims because another insurer has pulled out. The latest is Anthem, a big insurance company. We've already seen Humira and we've already seen Aetna pull out. This is leaving 20 counties in Ohio where people will not have coverage.
Yeah, it's terrible. The Republicans say this shows that the Affordable Care Act is not working and that you need to replace it. Meanwhile, Democrats say this is just evidence that Congress and the White House are trying to sabotage the insurance market. Nonetheless, if they don't do something in Congress about what is known now as the Affordable Care Act, they would like to change it into the American Health Care Act. There's going to be a lot of people with no insurance.
And I want to get your feedback on this if you would email us. Lindsey Graham said last night, hey, Mr. President, this is not your problem. Let it die. And then make Democrats come over and fix what they gave us.
Yeah, but
and other people, Brett Baer came right back and said, listen, they're going to blame Republicans because you have the power. He goes, they shouldn't, because we had nothing to do with it.
Aren't you glad, though, he's going to go sit down with the victims of Obamacare, because they're not going to have insurance, and you need to hear from these people to find out exactly how they're affected. Because they're so, if you read the health care bill, it is so convoluted. You need to find out how it's affecting your family and your family, because we all are in different situations.
As opposed to what the CBO is going to say, what the Republican plan is going to do.
Yeah, we're going to try to get some of them on our show tomorrow because we want to find out what he sat down and talked about with them.
Indeed. In the meantime, it is 11 minutes after the top of the hour, and we've got Jillian with a Fox News alert.
That's right. Good morning to you guys, to you at home as well. We do begin with a Fox News alert at this hour. ISIS just claiming responsibility for a pair of deadly attacks on Iran's parliament and an iconic shrine. Violent explosions killing at least 2 security guards and injuring 30 people this morning. The siege at the legislature is still underway. Lawmakers now locked down. The first ever ISIS attack in Iran. We'll keep you posted. Russia scrambling a fighter jet to intercept a U.S. bomber flying alongside its border. The Russian military claims it escorted the B-52 after it flew over the Baltic Sea. But U.S. military officials say the jet was conducting a routine mission in international airspace. And new this morning, a liberal government gravy train shut down. Attorney General Jeff Sessions is putting an end to the so-called DOJ slush fund. The move stops a practice by the Obama administration to allow settlements won in government lawsuits to be dished out in non-government groups unrelated to the case. Critics say it allowed the Obama White House to funnel money to liberal interest groups. Now, settlement money will only go to the victims in the case. And we have double the good news out of Hollywood this morning. George and Amal Clooney welcoming twins. Ella and Alexander are the first children for both mom and dad. And according to reps, mom and babies, they are happy, they are healthy, and doing just fine. But guys, get this, they jokingly add that George is sedated and should recover in a few days. No pictures of the babies just yet, but I can bet they're going to be gorgeous.
Did we know they were going to have twins?
Yeah, we did.
We were told this?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Feel bad for Brad Pitt. He finally is single. He can hang out with him, and now he goes and has kids. He's like, thanks, Brad Pitt.
That's what he said.
What kind of luck does he have?
He can be the uncle.
Yeah.
George Clooney did say, he said, all my friends have kids going to college, and they're all laughing at me now.
Absolutely, yeah.
He said in an interview one time, he said, I really want kids that are already trained, like house trained, like a dog.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
That's called adopting.
All right.
Congrats to them.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, coming up on this Wednesday, Democrats still don't get what middle America wants, but they have a plan. Try to persuade, quote, low information folks to agree with them. Low information folks? We're going to explain that with the great columnist next.
And do you think people of who have food stamps should get a break on Amazon? Well, Amazon does. The details straight ahead.
Basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to getting the thing to pass.
He tweets and retweets. They're offensive, hateful, mean-spirited rhetoric. Now, some of those folks, they are irredeemable, but thankfully they are not America.
That's where the irredeemable T-shirts came from right there. Meanwhile, ever since their big election losses, Democrats getting some sound advice. You can't win votes by showing contempt for voters, right? But our next guest claims liberal disdain for middle America is baked into the idea of identity politics. Here now to explain is Wall Street Journal columnist and former chief speechwriter for President George W. Bush, Bill McGurn. Bill, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I was just looking at all the stuff that here in the news studio on that screen right there. It's interesting. in your column, you talk about some of the crazy things that liberal commentators and writers have written about Middle America, and it's not good.
No, and I think what people miss, I was talking about the contempt that is so often bared toward Trump voters or Middle America. There were five people with impeccable liberal democratic credentials who said this is a problem for our party. That's what I was writing off. They all sort of appeared at the same time. And it's amazing that some of the response sort of confirms the problem that they have. I'm sure they're getting beat up for it.
You write in your column that progressives have got to tone down the looking down.
Right. Well, look, and also most of the columns had pretty good advice, but it was really interesting. They go out to Middle America, and I said that they describe the average American, ordinary American in Middle America in these terms that you would think Margaret Mead was describing the exotic Samoans. You know, they go to church, they have Republican spouses, they're patriotic and so forth. But it's a measure of where we are, that they feel that they have to inform their fellow progressives that this is what these people are like.
And that's where the bitter clingers came from. That's where the irredeemables, it goes on and on. It's all part of identity politics, and that it has worked in certain circumstances for the Democrats, but going forward, you theorize, it's not going to get them votes.
No, I think if you take what these people are writing seriously, that's saying we have a problem in that we seem to be insulting the people whose votes we want, and that's why we lost. What they didn't address is what I say, that's fueled by identity politics, because in identity politics, if you disagree with me, you're not just my political opponent, you're my oppressor. And that's the language, and that Mrs. Clinton was taking that language to the logical conclusion when she talked about deplorables and so forth. It's not something she invented.
It's really something. It's a great column. It's in the Wall Street Journal.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, coming up on this Wednesday, if people come to our country seeking asylum, should they be allowed to go back home? Our next guest says absolutely no. We're talking to Congressman Pete Sessions. He's coming up next. And Black Lives Matters wants you to boycott the NFL because it is too pro-Trump.
Everybody's ready for one heck of a time, so I'm back.
Some quick business headlines for you. The Sears ship continues to sink. The struggling retailer is going to close 72 stores nationwide this fall. Store workers have already been informed. Back in March, Sears warned that it could go bankrupt within the next year. I know, it's really sad. Remember the catalog? And want to get away? Southwest Airlines launching a big sale offering round-trip flights for under $100. Some one-way trips are only $49, but you better hurry if you want to fly Southwest. The deal ends at 11:59 p.m. tomorrow night, Brian, so you have a little bit of time.
All right, good. All right, President Trump, not mincing words over his immigration policy. He tweeted this. And you're seeing it. That's right. We need a travel ban for certain dangerous countries, not some politically correct term that won't help us protect our people. But there's a bill stuck in the House. He can get us there right now. And it could have stopped terrorists like the Boston bombers who came, left, and came back again. Here to explain this is the chairman of the House Committee on Rules, Texas Republican Congressman Pete Sessions. Always great to see you, Congressman. Haven't seen you since the Super Bowl in person. But when it comes to this, how can this help us?
Well, it would help us because it would take away what are commonly called loopholes, but in fact they are provisions within the law that allow people to ask for entry into the country based upon asylum and other methods that are presently available under the law. As you know, President Trump has taken a great and strong stand, not only on behalf of the American people, but really to defeat those who would come to this country to perpetrate terrorism. However, we must close all the loopholes, give Secretary Kelly the tools that he needs, and to make sure that we protect this border by those who would come to this country under, I think, false pretenses.
So I want to give everyone at home an idea of what's on the books and what's been proposed. This was back in 2015, this Protection Act. It says terminate the refugee or asylum status of the alien who without a compelling reason returns to the country of such alien's nationality, or in the case of an alien having nationality, returns to the country in which the alien last habitually resided and applied for such status because of persecution, of well-founded fear of persecution. So, for example, if you say you're persecuted and you come here on foot, if you say the quote, I have fear of persecution, you get to stay. But if not only is that going to be tough, you want to deal with that, but for the people that go back home again, you can't come back because it shows you made it up.
Well, every bit of that is certainly a circumstance, but the bottom line is the law allows people who come here to be able to make these claims and to have automatic entry, receive a lawyer, have a hearing, and go through a process. And perhaps that's important. What we want to do is take away these reasons why people are automatically allowed these provisions. And you understand also they're provided a lawyer, and I'm sure they're coached along the way. So these are not just loopholes, they're actual circumstances when you look at the Boston Bombers.
And Chairman,
Boston Bombers were exactly the same circumstances.
Yeah, they went back. They evidently got training and then came back. The FBI talked to them and still let them stay. And then we know what they did at the marathon. What you're doing, what you're also saying, Chairman, is for those people who want to be American citizens, who got in line or are going through the process the right way, this is respecting them and showing them, hey, I appreciate that you're going through our process and you're not trying to circumvent it. But in the big picture, it seems like you guys are doing something that I thought was impossible. Incrementally putting in immigration reform. First, bolster the border. Already real progress. Now handle people who are coming here for fear of persecution. Then you have the Dreamers that needs to be addressed. And soon there'll be a pathway to citizenship while revamping the laws for people that we want to stay because they go to our colleges. Are you saying forget comprehensive, little by little we're going to get this done?
No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that President Trump has made sure the American people were openly heard from and responded to. You know, the president had to do things like end, catch, and release. But we had a bill yesterday in the Rules Committee that would add some 2,000 new members of not only ICE but the Border Patrol. We do not have enough officers at the border. We do not have enough people who are prepared to intercept these people that come. We have over time from President Obama seen the number of people dwindle and their responsibilities dwindle. So we've got to build back our frontline forces. President Trump is on not only line to do this, but making sure Congress is going to fund these people. We're getting our job done.
Real quick, 10-second answer. What's holding it up?
Well, process. The process has got to be more robust. What's holding up this bill? I'm sure the majority leader is going to schedule a vote on this bill. It's already come out of committee. It's a matter of the majority leader doing this, and I'm sure we'll do that.
All right, good. So it's on track. All right, thanks, Chairman. Great to see you.
You bet.
Coming up straight ahead, Black Lives Matter wants you to boycott the NFL because some of the owners support President Trump. We will explain, or try to. And do you think people on food stamps should get a break on Amazon? Amazon does. We'll give you the details next. But first, happy birthday to Vice President Mike Pence. He turns 58 today. Calvin Harris wants us to go.
Let's go, Brian.
Let's go.
You know what's great about Wednesday?
What?
Tomorrow's Thursday, and then that is downhill to the weekend.
Right. And of course, there's a big Comey hearing Thursday. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I heard about that. The other networks are going to run it. We'll have highlights as well. I think we're going to have wall-to-wall coverage. Meanwhile, we got Star Parker, founder and president of the Center for Urban Renewal and Education, joining us. Good morning, Star.
Good morning.
Hi. Hey.
Hey, you know, when you come on, we talk about all sorts of things. Want to talk about what's going on down in the great state of Alabama. They just replaced the work requirements on food stamps. And as it turns out, in 13 counties in Alabama, the number of people on food stamps went down 85%.
Wow.
Why is that, do you think?
Because red laws work. This is one of the differences between red states and blue states. When you have people in leadership that believe and are confident that people can be responsible with their choices, they make laws that then they encourage them to be responsible. So when the work requirement came that said in order for you to continue to get food stamps, if you are an able-bodied person with no dependents, you should go to work. And they did, because they changed the law to say you must.
Do you think there were a number of people who were trying to scam the system?
I don't know if I'd call it scam. Now, there are those that do that, but it's like anything. If you can stay on vacation longer, you would. So what happens if you want to stay on a SNAP program, you will stay as long as you can until the law says you can't stay there anymore. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to get a lot of free food?
Yeah, they say about 44 million people are receiving SNAP benefits at a cost of $71 billion.
Yeah.
So it's significant.
Well, it's really large. It has grown significantly. Keep in mind that was about $18 billion in the year 2000. So if you put it in perspective, this has grown tremendously because now 60% of Americans get more from government than they put in because government has been generous. That's one of the reasons we have new leadership in this country, including here in Washington, D.C., so that we can change policy so that people can recover their lives.
Star, we wanted to get your opinion since you're an expert. I know the Center for Urban Renewal and Education. I know you try to find solutions to fight poverty with your organization. So when Amazon Prime came out and said they're going to offer a discount to people that are on food stamps, is that helpful or is it hurtful?
I think what Amazon is trying to do is take advantage of that marketplace that we just talked about, that $71 billion. But we have to ask ourselves, whose money is it? It belongs to the taxpayers, and many of them are working really hard to pay for Amazon's Prime program out of their own pocket. I think that what we are looking forward to in this new administration is draining the swamp so that there are not these companies that keep coming in here and smooching off the government as well. Corporate welfare has to stop as well.
Well, you know, I feel sorry for the people that are on food stamps. So I thought at first, oh, this gives them a leg up. It helps them so they can buy groceries and things. But then I was wondering, is it going to encourage them to spend more money and to shop more and spend taxpayer dollars on things they probably don't even need?
Well, the first question you have to ask yourself is, okay, Amazon is online, so how do they go online? They must have a computer and or a way to go online. So why are they on food stamps?
Yeah. Right. Meanwhile, let's talk about what the NFL is doing. We know that last year the single most damaging thing, according to the Sports Fan, was when Colin Kaepernick decided to take a knee. And sadly, it spread like wildfire all the way down to Pop Warner. They decided to take a knee during the national anthem. What Colin Kaepernick says, because the inequity in race in America and the way law enforcement disproportionately oppresses African Americans. When he did that, it not only made him unattractive to other teams because he's such a huge distraction, it got the attention of Black Lives Matter, who say this is a league that's pro-Trump, and because most of the owners are pro-Trump, I'm going to boycott, and I want you to boycott. In fact, here's the quote. I won't be watching the NFL this year. I can, in good conscience, support this league with many of its pro-Trump owners as it blacklists my friend and brother Colin Kaepernick for taking a silent, peaceful stance against injustice and police brutality in America. Your reaction?
Well, this is football. It is not a political debate, and they probably don't want the drama, so they are picking best players for those that want to watch NFL. You know, the beautiful thing about a free society is you do get to boycott. You don't have to watch whatever you don't want to watch. You don't have to travel wherever you don't want to travel. You don't have to buy product. You're not forced to do these things. Right. But boycott can be beautiful. However, that said, what we cannot allow to happen is ourselves to reduce to mob rule, which is what Black Lives Matter is all about. Mob rule. No, we battle in the voting booth in a free society. We battled in the voting booth. Donald Trump won. The left has to get over it. What we're going to do is have another election come soon. So we're not going to have a resistance summer and start burning things down and destroying this capitalistic society because one person thinks we should. Black Lives Matter needs to just get off of the political stage and go about their business lives and then get out to the polls the next time if they really want Democrats in control.
And for the record, Kaepernick has not been banned. Any owner can sign him at any moment.
That's exactly right. They want the best players. They don't want political players. They want football players.
And they don't like distractions, and that's part of the reason because Tim Tebow gets so much publicity. A lot of people said, you know what, he's probably worthy of our team, but we don't want the distraction of the locker room. So owners made a decision. And now the same thing here with Kaepernick.
Ultimately, they love stars, and we do too. Star Parker, thank you very much for
her mama named her appropriately. You are a star. Thank you so much for being with us, Star Parker.
There you go. All right.
How does it make Jillian feel?
Your mom knew you were a Jillian. You look like a Jillian, which is a beautiful name.
But a star. Right.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And by the way, Kaepernick not the best player, so that's part of the problem that he's facing.
Right.
Oh yeah, sports reporter. You've been covering this for a long time.
Yes, for a couple years now. But let's get to the news right now, guys, this morning, because we do want to get you caught up before you head out the door. Mysterious little yellow pills sold on the streets blamed for an outbreak of deadly overdoses in Georgia. Up to 4 people have been killed and dozens more hospitalized over the span of 48 hours. Some patients thought they were taking the prescription painkiller Percocet. Health officials now calling this the largest cluster of opioid overdoses in the state's history. And it's not just Republicans feeling the heat at town halls. One California Democrat got a rude welcome at her own event. Take a look. Trump supporters jeering Congresswoman Nanette Berrigan at a town hall in Los Angeles last week. A short time later, she walked out. Armed police escorting her from the auditorium to another room. The Trump supporters were not allowed inside, chanting, "Let us in," while a security guard stood at the entrance. Red Sox announcer Jerry Remy is stirring up controversy, saying non-English speaking baseball players shouldn't get translators on the field.
I don't think that should be legal. Seriously, learn baseball language. Learn. It's pretty simple. I mean, you break it down pretty easy between pitching coach and pitcher.
This all started when New York Yankees pitcher Masahiro Tanaka, his translator, came to the pitcher's mound during last night's game. No comment from the team. And by the way, guys, let's look at your headlines. But this is the second time now in 2 days that something similar has happened. This happened yesterday in Philadelphia. Former Philly great Mike Schmidt, who's now an analyst for the team, he made a comment about Odubel Herrera. Had to apologize. Basically, he was asked if the team can build around Odubel Herrera, and his comment on the radio was, it's hard because of the language barrier.
Right. I don't speak Japanese, but I'll tell you exactly what happened on the mound. They came to the mound and said, "You used to be really good. We're paying you $155 billion. Why can't you get anybody out?" And that's the problem. And Boston went on to beat the Yankees 5-4.
Listen, and the Phillies got many other problems besides that. But, it's starting a conversation here with the language.
Right, in English.
Yep.
All right,
Thanks, Jillian.
Thank you. Meanwhile, new questions this morning surrounding the NSA contractor who was arrested for leaking information to the press. Her social media showed a blatant bias against President Trump, big time. So how was she able to get the job in the first place? We're going to talk about that next.
Plus, a new movie tells the true story of a Marine who fought to keep her canine comrade and bring the dog back to the U.S.
Found something!
Good boy. I've been watching this dog all year. It's the most aggressive dog I've ever treated.
25-year-old NSA contractor, officially the first leaker charged in the Trump administration.
Her social media post revealing a blatant anti-Trump bias, like this tweet at Real Donald Trump. The most dangerous entry to this country was the orange fascist we let into the White House. Well,
you're hired. So how is she able to get the job? Here to weigh in is former federal agency managing attorney Emily Compagno. Emily, welcome back.
Thank you.
Stunned to see that the hate that she has for Trump, her pro-Sanders views, her like for Iran, as well as her distaste for white people, all in her social media, yet she got the job and she ends up being a leaker that's facing 10 years in prison. How's this happen?
It's a shocking failure on the intelligence agency's part that they didn't do their homework. But keep in mind that the Hatch Act, and as an Air Force vet, while she was in, there's a DOD analog, it doesn't prohibit saying your point of view of issues and then candidates. So she technically is allowed to. It's just highly inappropriate. And in this case, provides additional evidence and evidence for the case against her for her motives.
Sure. She was hired by this company in February. And so there were a couple of months of shocking, it's her political point of view, which you certainly are entitled to. But still, if Pluribus would have looked at that and seen #NotMyPresident and all this other stuff, it's like, okay, so we're going to hire her to work for the administration of this man she hates. That would seem to be, if I'm the employer, kind of a risky hire.
Absolutely. That's her boss. And to her, it might seem circuitous, but that is her boss, the President of the United States. And it begs the larger question, too. Do we broaden the Hatch Act and its DOD equivalent? Do we now prohibit contractors and employees from stating such viewpoints? Or, again, does it provide that vital evidence that might come around and help us in rooting out who has the potential for leaking or after they leak for
Not only did she work for an administration or work for his administration, he's the commander-in-chief now, and she served our country country in the military, and she's writing that he's a piece of blank on social media. So what happens next? Will all this be used against her in court?
It will. And she's facing up to 10 years in prison, and I think the DOJ needs to make a strong statement with this and use her as an example for two reasons, basically based on deterrence. So number one, we're seeing this growing swell of support for these individuals taking matters into their own hands, usurping their country and their dedication to this, to protecting the classified info and doing something. And the second, think about how many thousands of young people that are employed that have these high level of security clearances. They're watching this to see, well, what's going to happen to me if I do it? Let's make a deterrence.
Well, if you're watching at home, and I hope you are, hold on to something, because there are 4 million people, both government employees and contractors, they hold security clearances, and 1.3 million with top secret clearances. Do you really think she's the only one with an anti-Trump or an anti-president bias working there with another agenda? She retweeted 2 of Edward Snowden's tweets. That should not get you hired. Pluribus is putting their own contract with the government in jeopardy. What are they thinking?
Exactly. It's an impressionable cadre. Those are millions of eyes watching this that are looking to see what are the consequences of this behavior. And this plays, too, into a lot of things we talk about on this show, right? The consequences of what you post and what you say, it matters. And it's time to hold these people to this accountability, because in this situation, it can be life-threatening.
Will she get the 10 years?
I hope so. They should absolutely secure they should pursue the maximum sentencing and not offer a plea.
Yeah, but she'll probably cop a deal because they don't want the secrets out.
Right.
So, who knows?
And who will take care of her cats? Evidently, she loves cats.
She's already talked to her mom about that.
She did? Her mom's going to take care of the cats?
Emily, thank you very much.
Thanks, Emily.
Great. Thanks, Emily. All right, coming up straight ahead. The VA is still in critical condition. The agency taking steps to modernize. Secretary David Shulkin here with what's next to help vets and what he already has done this week.
Plus, a new movie that tells a true story of a Marine's fight to keep her hero canine companion.
You got this? Think faster.
Yeah, I got this. You think I'm afraid of you? Lay down.
The real Marine who inspired that story and one of the movie's stars are going to join us live.
How are you? Nice to see you.
Hi. All about the bond between a Marine and her dog.
From New York?
Yeah.
Me too. First time in country. What about him?
Germany.
German Shepherd, I like that. You know what I heard? I heard the enemy likes to steal the dogs, right? Strap bombs on them. Send them back to their owner.
Well, since Rex can break someone's arm with his teeth, I'm not too worried.
Oh my gosh, they really do that? We'll talk to you about it. That film, Megan Levy, tells the real-life story about the fight to adopt a her four-legged partner, after they were both injured in Iraq.
Joining us today, the real-life Marine, retired Marine Corporal Megan Levy, and one of the film's lead actors, actor Ramon Rodriguez. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning. Good morning. They actually do this. The enemy will take the dogs and strap bombs to them.
Well, there's different kind of dogs. My dog stays on leash, but there are specialized search dogs that they go out further off leash, and yeah, that's been known to happen.
Tell me about your experience in Iraq. It was made for the movies, and your bond with this dog.
Well, Rex and I have done 2 deployments together, and we've been through a lot together. And I love the Marine Corps. I was happy. I knew that I was going to be going on those deployments, so I was prepared, and, all we can do is train and do our best out there.
Sure. So tell us about what happened that day in 2006. You and Rex were on patrol, and something horrible happened.
We were. And as, I don't want to give too much away, but in the film, 2 dog teams were originally requested, and we had just been out on a mission, me and...
You were looking for IEDs.
We were, yeah. That's our main mission in Iraq, is to search for explosives and weapons, yes.
So they don't kill others. Now, Matt, you play Matt Morales in the film. Yeah. Am I right, Ramon? Tell me about Matt.
So Matt is loosely based on an actual real-life good friend of Megan that was
also a canine handler. We took a little liberty in the film in terms of their relationship.
Yeah, there's no real romance.
There's no real romance in real life. I got to meet him the other night, which was actually pretty cool. But he's also a canine handler, and he's already in war when Megan first gets there, and he kind of shows her a little bit about what to expect.
Sure.
And he kind of, I think some of the things he kind of sees in her early on is he can recognize, okay, she's kind of a fish out of water, and he jokes with her and kind of tries to really kind of get a gauge and make her feel comfortable.
Sorry to interrupt
That's
you.
okay.
Megan, when you found out they're going to make a movie about your life, you're a Marine, and now you have a movie based on your life. What were your and Kate Mara's playing you.
Yes.
What was your reaction?
I probably didn't think that this was actually going to ever happen at first, and now that it's here, it is amazing. I'm so lucky. I'm grateful. I think it's going to bring, a lot of attention to the military working dog community, the Marine Corps, and I'm just I'm ecstatic. This is surreal.
Because you and Rex were both injured, and then you were separated, and it took years, but I'm going to give away a little bit of the movie. At the end, you were reunited.
We were, yes. We had a great 8 months together after I adopted him.
And honored Yankee Stadium.
And honored at Yankee Stadium.
That's cool, too.
So
You're a big Yankee fan.
Such a cool ceremony, yeah. I work for the Yankees now, so yeah.
All right,
Yankee Stadium's a special place in my heart.
Indeed. So check out the new movie. It opens Friday. It's called Megan Levy.
Yes.
Megan, thank you.
Back